Well, ladies and gentlemen, it would seem as if Trump just has one final hurdle to overcome before he is officially inaugurated as President of the United States of America. You see, this Friday, the 10th of January, one day before the inauguration is set to take place, Trump will receive his New York City sentencing for the alleged Stormy Daniels hush money case. Now, here's the thing that all of us know is true. Trump right now is working against a corrupt justice system with a judge presiding over the case that is most certainly not on his side. And here's something to keep in mind. This is a state case, not a federal case, which means that he couldn't pardon himself after being sworn in as president. If he's sentenced with prison time tomorrow, things are going to get real interesting. Would Trump be forced to miss his own presidential inauguration? Would he have to be inaugurated from inside of a prison cell? Well, who knows? But here's the thing. None of this might end up happening because Trump has just activated his trap card. Take a look at this.
Trump has filed an emergency motion with the Supreme Court to stop the sentencing in his New York criminal case, which is set for Friday at 9:30 in the morning. Eric Shawn has been following all of this. Tell me, Eric, what happens now?
Well, right now, Stuart, it's up to the Supreme Court. President-elect Trump's lawyers are filing an emergency motion to the High Court to stop his sentencing on Friday. The bid will first go to Justice Sonia Sotomayor because she handles the jurisdiction of New York. She can then refer it to the full court to decide if Trump's lawyers are correct. They argue that Trump's sentencing on his 34 felony counts for paying off Stormy Daniels should not go forward day after tomorrow because the High Court has already given presidents wide immunity for official acts.
So remember in July of 2024, about a half a year ago, when the Supreme Court ruled in a 6-3 decision, by the way, that the president has immunity for all official and presidential acts? Well, that's what Trump is counting on. Now, here's what Trump's legal team has to say about this.
They claim, quote, the New York trial court lacks authority to impose sentence and judgment on President Trump or conduct any further criminal proceedings against him. And Trump spokesman Stephen Chung says, quote, the Supreme Court's historic decision on immunity, the Constitution, and established legal precedent mandate that this meritless hoax be immediately dismissed. But Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg counters that Trump's actions were before he was president and were not part of his official duties.
Now, to get a little bit litigious over all of this, let's take a look at exactly what the Supreme Court had to say here and what it means for Trump. As the Supreme Court determined, under our constitutional structure of separated powers, the nature of presidential power entitles a former president to absolute immunity from criminal prosecutions for actions within his conclusive and preclusive constitutional authority. And he is entitled to at least presumptive immunity from prosecution for all of his official acts. There is no immunity for unofficial acts. Now, most certainly, however you want to look at it, Trump is either a president or a former president, so that aspect of all of this won't be an issue. So the real challenge for Trump's legal team is to argue that paying Stormy Daniels this alleged hush money was an official political action. But as you may have heard in the previous video, there's also one more big issue here. Trump's immunity bid first has to go through Justice Sotomayor before it can get elevated to the rest of the Supreme Court. Now, if Trump can make it to the Supreme Court, the odds at immunity are high considering the court is dominantly conservative with several judges he appointed himself. The problem is that Justice Sotomayor is one of the 3 progressive judges that initially voted against presidential immunity in the middle of 2024. So this entire situation could go one of multiple ways. Who's to say what's going to happen here? But there's also one more massive thing to mention right now, and it's an update from the New York City judge himself. Take a look at this.
Judge Merchan has indicated, though, that he will impose what's called a conditional discharge on the president-elect on Friday. If this goes forward, that means Mr. Trump will face no sanctions, such as a fine and no jail time.
Okay, so the judge presiding over all of this has actually gone on the record and said that as Trump's immunity plea works through the legal system, if he does decide to sentence Trump with some prison time, at least he won't need to serve that prison time until the immunity plea has worked itself to its conclusion. And so, of course, at least this guarantees that Trump would be a free man on Inauguration Day, meaning that he'd be cleared to step back into the presidency, at which point he could very likely attempt to navigate the New York City jail time sentencing through a variety of other legal means, very likely opening up an all-new Supreme Court case. Now, it's hard to put to words just how important all of this is and the colossal precedent it will set as Trump is set to enter his second presidential term. But I do want to say real quick, guys, speaking of things that are important, if you enjoy the videos, please consider subscribing because it helps a ton with combating the dreaded YouTube algorithm. But anyway, the reality of the situation is that for the radical progressives, this is very likely their final real chance at shutting down Trump and stopping him from becoming the president again. Once Trump is back in the White House, they know they won't be able to stop him. In fact, as far as the crazy progressives are concerned, it's almost like Trump is the evil Emperor Sauron from Lord of the Rings and the presidency is the One Ring. They absolutely cannot let him get back in power because they know if he does, their days of power are numbered. And so I'll tell you what, just yesterday, former Republican Speaker of the House Newt Gingrich actually put all of this together in a really great way. Take a look at this.
The thing that's going on here, I think, is so important. Donald Trump is a serious person. He actually intends to break up the swamp, to take apart the establishment, to fundamentally reset American government back on constitutional principles. Well, if you're a left-wing advocate, this is a nightmare. This is life and death for them. This is Armageddon. And so they will do anything they can, no matter how stupid or how outrageous. They'll do anything to stop him because he's a mortal threat to their world.
And he's 100% right about everything he just said. The progressives know that once Trump is back in the White House, their idiotic grip on the nation will pretty much be over with. All of their plans and their scheming and their lawfare will have failed. And in all likelihood, between you and me, I think they're going to have to be held accountable for it. And so I think it looks like Trump is going to come out of this situation just fine. And then, figuratively, it's going to be doomsday for all of these insane progressives and deep state actors that have attempted to orchestrate his demise for almost a decade now. And I'll tell you another thing here. The American public, that's us, that's you, that's me. We're receptive. We notice things. If Trump gets in office and the economy gets better, guess what? We're going to notice. If Trump gets in office and starts focusing on and prioritizing us Americans as opposed to giving money to foreign countries halfway across the world, guess what? We're going to notice. And so my point with this is, moving forward beyond all of the legal stuff the progressives have tried to do to shut down Trump, there's nothing they're more scared of than having to sit by and watch Trump deliver results to the American people. To have to sit there and watch as the guy that they've spent a decade trying to convince everyone is literally a fascist, racist, Nazi, orange, Hitler, whatever, as he delivers positive outcome after positive outcome to the Americans in a very clear contrast to all of their own failed progressive policies. Because what will happen is that the entire nation, as if it wasn't clear already, it will be painfully obvious that progressive, globalist, anti-American policy fails and that American first policy wins. And so moving beyond Trump as an individual, as a man, as a person, these progressives know that if they can't stop him right now, right before the finish line, one day before he's inaugurated, they're at risk of losing everything. They know they're about to experience a complete and total ideological loss. Very akin to the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989, it signaled the complete and total failure of communism, just as Trump's return to the White House will signal the complete and total failure of progressivism. But hey, that's all I've got for you guys in this one. MAGA has one final hurdle to overcome, then we're so unbelievably back. Against all odds, after everything, the weaponization of the Justice Department, the impeachments, the nonstop mainstream media attacks, the fake news hoaxes, collusion, collusion, collusion. After all of it, we're almost back. So hey, I want to know what you guys have to say about all of this, so please go down below and drop a comment. Please like the video, but only if you liked it. Please subscribe, it's huge and it helps a ton. Every day I'm combating this YouTube algorithm, so it really does help a lot. As always, thank you guys for watching, and stay safe.